It's the WHOW Morning Show. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom this morning is Haley Jones, 4-H Youth Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Haley, thanks for joining us this morning. How you doing?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on for the first time today, which is awesome. Just to ease us into the conversation, let's get a little background on you. How long have you been with the extension?
Yeah, so I have been serving with DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt 4-H for a little bit over 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been with Extension as a whole in 2 different states for 10 years now.
Wow, awesome. So, what's your passion for developing these kids all about? What makes you want to be in this program?
Yeah, so I have been involved with 4-H, working for 4-H for 10 years now. And what keeps me doing it is definitely the part of that youth development
Mm-hmm.
that, where we as positive role models are empowering our youth. We're showing the youth all the different things that they can become passionate about. We're
Mm-hmm.
trying to spark their interest in something new. We're encouraging them to, become successful even after failure
Mm-hmm.
of trying something new. And that's the part that keeps me, working for 4-H as a whole, and seeing the youth achieve and do something they love.
Wow. Well, you are already a pro at this, because that is a fantastic segue into shouting out some of those kids who have been developed and who are developing in public speaking. You guys just recently had a competition, and you want to shout out some of those winners.
Absolutely. So yeah, the DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt, our unit here in Illinois, we hosted our area public speaking contest. And this is an annual event for our 4-Hers to compete in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we always have a few 4-Hers that, take that leap and they get up the courage to, again, try something new or get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, public speaking. And so we have many different categories that the youth can enroll in and test out and compete in. So we have some winners that I'd like to give a shout out to.
Mm-hmm.
And these winners get to go to our state public speaking contest and compete against many 4-Hers from around the state.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be coming up here later in April up at campus at the University of Illinois.
Nice.
But our local winners here, we have Lexi Merriman is our grand champion in formal speech. We have reserve champions, Phoebe Kraft and Lily Watterson, and those two did a partner oral interpretation. So they did that together,
Mm-hmm.
and they are the reserve champion. And then we have a state fair delegate, Gideon Kraft. He competed in formal speech. And then we have a couple of state fair alternates. And so these two get to go in the event that Gideon maybe isn't able to compete. And our state fair alternates are Cecilia Kraft and Victoria. And this was also a 2-person oral interpretation. So they did that one together
Mm-hmm.
as well. And so congratulations to all of our winners for our local public speaking contest.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, a very big congratulations is in order for those students. Tell me a little bit about the work that they put in that goes into preparing for that competition.
Yeah, so these youth, they have the chance to explore these categories, well in advance, and they kind of decide what best fits them, or maybe they've got another similar opportunity through their school or through, even FFA perhaps, or they're just someone, who enjoys kind of that aspect of speaking and communication, but they get to explore the different categories and decide, which one they want to compete in. And then they will, ideally, they will put their speech together, they'll practice, they'll do the whole practice in front of the mirror so that they can learn from themselves and feel even more prepared. And then when they come to the competition, each category has different requirements, and so they've got to make sure they follow those requirements, and those are a little different depending on the category. Some categories require or allow you to use notes, maybe a certain number of words in a note in your notes. Some of them do not. Some of them are a certain length of time, and some of them are a little bit longer. And so the youth really have to practice ahead of time and make sure that they're adhering to all of those requirements, because that is part of what they're judged on at the local competition.
Mhm.
And so these youth who have earned a spot at the state competition, they've followed all of those requirements and they've practiced and rehearsed their speech. And then they received good judging comments and good, judging marks at the local competition from an area judge who is very experienced in public speaking and communication. And so she's able to give them feedback and constructive criticism and whatnot to help better prepare them for the state competition as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, like you said, the state competition is where these students are headed next. And obviously, the big difference there is there will be competitors from all around the state. But what other kind of challenges are these students going to face as they move up to that next level?
Yeah, so some other challenges that might be kind of different than what they're used to here at the local competition is they're moving on to a bigger competition.
Mhm.
They're performing in a place that maybe they've never been. Most likely, they've not been to that campus or that particular building
Mhm.
where they will be. And they'll be performing, their family and their friends, will still be in the audience, but there might be others in the audience that they don't know
Mhm.
who are also sitting in and listening to these speeches as they wait for their turn, or they're just browsing the event and they sit in. So the state competition also has two judges, 2 to 3 judges, not just one.
Mhm.
And so the youth participants will get that opportunity to hear from multiple judges and get those scores and comments from, a few people, not just one individual. And yeah, so it'll be, different on that level. And then anytime, a member or, a youth participant is moving up a level,
Mhm.
that can create some nerves and newness. And so just the fact that they're representing their unit or their county in this case at the state level can feel a little different than just maybe hopping down the road and performing your speech in front of people and
Mhm.
and whatnot. So they'll have time to practice and kind of get settled in and be aware of all of that. And so hopefully they're prepared and can do their best.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a 4-H youth development educator, what is your role in preparing these students for either the local competition or the state competition? And not just public speaking, but in any of them.
Yeah, so my role as kind of an educator is it's actually a team effort here in our county. We have a lot of 4-H staff,
Mhm.
and so I kind of with this particular event maybe get to sit in the background and just ensure that our team is ready with facilitating the competition, with getting those deadlines out there to the participants, to making sure our participants are, feel like they have what they need
Mhm.
to successfully compete in the public speaking competition. But it's definitely a team effort, and we've got great program coordinators who work in our 4-H unit that really make this competition go at the local level.
Mhm.
But as an educator and as program coordinators, we are able to volunteer for the state public speaking contest. And that is something I helped with last year. I'm not able to help with it this year, but I know I have some colleagues that will be helping with it. But yeah, like last year, I was able to serve as a judge for one of the areas because public speaking and communication is one of my passions as well.
Mhm.
And so that was something I felt, that I could help out with. And so I have served as a judge, and that was actually really useful because I was able to bring back that knowledge from the state competition, and we can share that with our youth participants as we prepare them for this state level competition, what to expect and what it's going to be like, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Haley, I look at the clock. It's about time for us to take a break. But before we do that, where's the best place for everyone to follow along with the extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties?
Yes, so everyone should follow along with us every day of the week. You can find us on our website, which is extension.illinois.edu/DMP, or you can always follow along with us on social media, and you can simply search for, Macon County 4-H, Piatt County 4-H, or DeWitt County 4-H, and our pages will pop up. And there's always lots of activity on all of those platforms.
Awesome. Haley, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some upcoming workshops with the extension. More to come with Haley Jones, 4-H Youth Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW. Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Monday. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network. Corn starting today slightly lower, beans higher, and wheat lower. May corn opening 4.50 3/4, down 1.5. July corn down 1 1/4, 4.62. December new crop 4.80 1/4, down a penny. May beans starting today up 4, 11.67 1/2. July beans up 3 3/4, 11.83 3/4. November new crop 11.55 1/2, up 1.5. May Chicago wheat 5.91 3/4, down 6 1/2. May KC wheat down 10 1/4, 6.05 1/2. May bean meal 3.1850, up 3.30. May bean oil 68.83, down 11 cents. Energy market June Brent crude oil 108.86, down 17 cents. Opening numbers on this Monday morning. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
It's the WHOW Morning Show. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. We continue with my guest on the Zoom in this segment, Haley Jones, 4-H Youth Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. And we are talking some upcoming workshops. You guys always have a calendar packed full to the brim with different activities and different learning opportunities for students. And the next one's coming up on Earth Day. Let's dive into what's coming up, Haley.
Yeah, so we always have some workshops coming up in our 3 counties. So participants can always be checking for those, Macon County, DeWitt, Piatt, and they're welcome to travel to any of those. So even if they live in Macon County and they find a workshop that they think is interesting in Piatt County, they can sure travel to that one. And so I just want to let everyone know that they're always open to anyone. So the first one we've got coming up. So we did just have an Earth Day workshop, which I see has already occurred. And so we're moving on to some more summer, spring themed workshops. And we've got a 4-H horticulture workshop that is coming up. And that will be taking place on April 12th. So right around the corner. And this is a Let's Get Gardening. And so it's for youth to have a chance to get their hands dirty and into the soil by planting early season plant starts. And they'll get those seeds and they'll be learning all about, the different things that you can grow. And so this is a great opportunity for youth anywhere from 5 years of age on up to 18. So we've got a wide age range there trying to accommodate anyone who's interested to come and learn about gardening, to learn about how to start seeds. Mostly those vegetables is what we'll be, gearing it towards. And it's a great opportunity for anybody who is not in 4-H, but also in 4-H. And if you're in 4-H, maybe you want to learn about the horticulture project area, because 4-H is made up of over 80 different project areas. And one of those is horticulture. And if you're someone that wants to learn all about that and dive deeper into that, maybe take a horticulture project to the fair in the summer, which is in July, then this will be a great workshop to attend and kind of dive deeper into that horticulture project area as a whole. And so it is on April 12th from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and it will be out at the 4-H Memorial Camp, which is in Monticello. And again, it's open to anyone ages 5 all the way up to 18 years of age. And those are kind of our Cloverbud to 4-H age range. But again, open to anyone. And whether you're in 4-H or not, and you just want to learn more. And so there is a fee associated with this particular workshop because the youth participants will be going home with lots of materials. And so the fee is $7 for this workshop. And so that can be paid at the time of registration. If anyone does need a reasonable accommodation or they need assistance with that fee, then they can always contact their local county extension office to, get those accommodations and get that fee waiver assistance for any of our workshops that you might see. So Let's Get Gardening is a horticulture workshop, April 12th, 2 to 3 p.m.
Awesome. Something that I love about the extension, whether it's workshops for 4-H or whether it's classes that are just with the extension that are for anybody, you guys are always trying to make them accessible and trying to introduce people to new things and just spread the word and spread the wealth of all this information that you guys have. And another opportunity to kind of dive into something new for kids is the Archery Find Out workshop. Tell us a little bit about what is going on with this and what makes it a find out.
Yeah, so we have some staff in our unit that work closely with shooting sports. And so archery is one of the many categories under the shooting sports area. And so our unit has lots of different clubs that specialize in shooting sports. But we're kind of looking to get that club started for archery. That's an area of shooting sports we don't have a lot of. But we think there's a lot of interest from youth to learn more about archery and get involved in that. And so we are hosting an archery, you could call it a workshop, or a find out night, to kind of see what that interest is and, see, where that interest is. And so we have this archery recruitment shoot.
Mhm.
And it'll be hosted on April 12th as well. And for those that are thinking, wow, that horticulture workshop that we just talked about sounds really cool, you want to do that, guess what? You can also stay and then attend this archery recruitment shoot because it's also taking place out at the 4-H Memorial Camp directly following that horticulture workshop. And so this is from 3:30 to 5 on April 12th out at the camp, as we said. And this is for slightly older kids. So this is for those 4-H aged kids, 8 years old up to 18 years old. So none of those clover bud aged kids. They're a little young for archery and for the guidelines with shooting sports. And so ages 8 and up are invited to attend. And this is for those current 4-H members who want to learn about archery, but it's also for those people who aren't in 4-H, but maybe if they enjoyed archery, they would then want to join this archery 4-H club down the road.
Gotcha. And Haley, I'm so sorry. I'm going to cut you off on that topic there just because I want to make sure that we have time in our last 2 minutes here to highlight an upcoming deadline that is important for our 4-H families that has to do with Z Suite. Let's jump into what this deadline is.
Absolutely. Thank you. So yes, on April 30th, for all of our current 4-H families, those people who are in 4-H and they are ready to go this summer and they want to show at the 4-H show in July, then April 30th is a big deadline. This is what we call our Z Suite enrollment deadline. And this means that anyone who's in 4-H or interested in being 4-H, they need to get enrolled on Z Suite, which is an online database, by April 30th. And all of our current 4-H families, they know all about that. Some of our newer families might need this reminder, but what is important about this deadline is that when you enroll or re-enroll into Z Suite for 4-H, you also need to select all of your project areas that you might be interested in for the 4-H show. And so you've got to get those 4-H projects selected, and then that helps us out as a staff know what we've got coming to the fair. So April 30th is a Z Suite enrollment date, and people can go to 4h.zsuite.org to re-enroll or enroll for the first time, if that is something that applies to them.
Perfect. And we are just about out of time. Haley, they call that hitting the post. So don't forget to check out extension.illinois.edu/DMP to find out more. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show. Again, that was Haley Jones, 4-H Youth Development Educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties.
WHOW.